But I fell back in love with the job, which is good this week. I fell back in love with it. Well, hello. If you haven't seen me before, my name is Shelley Way. I'm a high school principal and I am transforming about 8 areas of my life. I'm trying mainly to not work so much because the demands of my job indicate that I need like 55, 60-hour weeks, and that's how I've been living for a long time. I am trying to only do 40 hours a week. Unfortunately, it's the end of Thursday afternoon and I have managed to do 37 hours already this week, and Friday hasn't even started yet. So that's where I'm up to. So this is what I go through every day to see how I'm traveling, and I'm sort of keeping track of how this is going because there's going to be a crunch point where I have to make a decision. Can I keep doing this? Okay, so the first question is, how much did I enjoy today? Actually, I enjoyed it as a 10 out of 10, and that's part of what I'm aiming for, is to increase my fulfillment. Then the emotional energy that I have at the end of the day, despite it being a long day, I'm a 7 out of 10 for emotional energy. Then I'm supposed to put my chair back and have third space to process my emotions of the day. And let me tell you, today has been absolutely manic. Whoa. Anyway, and then afterwards, I'm supposed to see what my emotional energy score is like. So I'll get to that in a minute. Part of the reason why my emotional energy goes down is because I don't often, sometimes I'm so go, I don't even get a chance to take a recovery break during the day. Today, the only time I got a recovery break was when I went out into the playground at the second half of lunch. And that was just nice to get out in the sun and hang out in the playground. So I did get a minor recovery break, but not to myself. I did hang out and talk to kids and stuff. Then the feelings that I want to have, which are fulfilled, free, valuable, fun, happy, connected, excited, belonging, inspired, worthwhile, purposeful, joy, creative. How much did I feel those today? Actually, I felt them like a 10. I'm sorry, I'm trying to hold this. I'm not very good at this. I'm trying to hold the camera while I do this. So that's a 10 out of 10. I'm actually filling this out on paperwork as I go. Feeling negative emotions today, which is hectic, time poor, powerless, tense, trapped, overloaded, stuck, overworked, burdened, powerless, low emotional energy. How much did I feel those today? Well, probably about a 4.5. And I didn't go to bed early enough last night like I'm supposed to because I was working on, oh, sorry, I've got my finger in front of that. I was finalizing the last video, so I didn't go to bed like I was supposed to. So bad me. And that might be classified as overdoing it, but I finally wanted to do something for me, which was filming. So that's why I did that. So there's all these other areas. Friendships and connections is an area that I really have not been working on very well. I've been eating right. I have been exercising right. I am being creative when time permits. But the other area and following guidance, I feel like I've been doing that too. You are probably like me. You're a high achiever. You work really hard. You give your all. And there is a point where you go, but what about me? That's where I'm at anyway. I feel like this isn't really a video that anybody will want to watch, but this is the reality of transformation. This is what it's like. These are the points. Like, I technically shouldn't have stayed after work today, and that's one of my things that I'm supposed to just leave. But I've had all this paperwork full of all of these tasks and things that had to be filed and organized and sent and put in the right spot. But I couldn't get to it because the next thing would come in the door, and the next thing, and the next phone call, and the next problem, and the next issue, and the next. So I stayed behind to sort all that out because it's been sitting there for a week, and no matter how hard I try, I haven't been able to get to it in any meaningful way before the next interruption comes through. So this is part of the reason why my days drag on, and this is part of the reason they're 55, 60-hour weeks, is because of that. And all right, you try being a high school principal and say, no one's going to interrupt me, please. yeah, you've still got to deal with the issue. You've still got to deal with the parent. You've still got to deal with the appointments. You've still got to deal with the phone calls. You still got to deal. And there's a lot of dealing, let me tell you. And that's just my job. But I do have to decide how long I can keep doing it for. But I fell back in love with the job, which is good this week. I fell back in love with it. I love the kids. I love the community. I fell back in love with it, which is great. Okay. So I'm going to do my third space. I really would prefer to go home, but that's part of the things that start to eat away at my emotional well-being if I don't take my third space activity. So I'm going to put my chair back, take my third space, process my emotions, see if any guidance comes through, particularly in the area of connections for me, because that's the stuff that I just put by the wayside. And because I'm so busted from work and I just don't want to connect with anyone after that. But then I'm left without connections for me because that's the way I've been doing it for a long time and that's how I've survived. So I've got to come up with something different. This is the reality of transformation, people. Whatever it is that you want to change, you actually have to change something and you actually have to reflect and change it in the moment. It's not some massive end thing that you've got to do. You've got to change it in the moment, then and there at little mini decision points. Like, do you invite someone over for dinner? Do you send a text to say, meet me for coffee? I'm preaching to myself, aren't I? All right, third space. I'm going to do that now and see what I get. I finished my third space and I'm about an 8 out of 10 for emotional well-being, but I'm mainly starving. I can't say I got any clear direction about what's next, but I did remember that tomorrow night I've actually got craft group with some girls that we haven't done for a while, so I get to focus on some things that I enjoy and like to do together. So we'll do that tomorrow night. I haven't been there for like a month or so, so that'll be really nice to do some craft with the girls and have a drink while we do it. So that's a good connection point that I'd almost forgotten about, to be frank. Well, I felt like I was supposed to film something tonight, and then my daughter caught me in a card game, which I actually really enjoyed. But I'm just going to film now because when I get the urge, there's usually something that Spirit wants to share, and let's see what comes through. Nothing may come through, but let's just see. I'm a bit tired, so we'll see what happens. So I take a deep breath in, heavy sigh out, smile, and then I see what comes through. Embarking is the word that I get. I see an image of someone standing there with a backpack on, ready to go on a trek. And they're moving, they're going forward. Okay, they're saying my name. Shelley, you're going forward with your backpack on, as is the person watching. Sorry if you heard all that. That was my husband driving out the driveway with his really loud car. And now I'm being zoomed out to show the trek that this person's on, sort of like the peaks and the valleys. And I'm seeing the destination sort of like up in the mountains, and the person is like probably an eighth to a fifth of the way into the journey into the mountains. But they're on a crest of like a hill so they can see where they're going. Like prior to that, they haven't been able to see where they're going because they're in the valley. I think that's very metaphorical, don't you think? That sometimes you're so deep in it that you're in the valley, and of course you can't see the path because you're stuck in the valley and you don't have the vision yet from the height. Is that the message? Not answering that. actually so the person standing there, well, they're stopping, they're having something to eat, having a cuppa at the top of that little crest, having journeyed as far as they've gone so far, enjoying the spoils of having gone that far, knowing that there's quite a way to go, but not having really any concerns at that point. Like knowing that there's a long way to go, but quite content with the achievements and where they've gotten to so far. Knowing that soon they'll be packing up again and trekking and going back down the valley probably, but quite content with where they are at the moment. I know that that's kind of where I'm at the minute, because I have been on a big journey and I've been through some troughs, I tell you, and some valleys, but I feel quite content where I'm at the moment, and that was completely unexpected because I wasn't really feeling like I could stay doing things as I was doing them, and that I really needed to change something significant because the enjoyment factor wasn't great. And now I feel the joy of those things again, and that is unexpected, totally unexpected, and that just came out of the blue this week. So the message in this, they're saying enjoy where you're at. Enjoy where you're at. You might be somewhere along that journey and parts of it are uncomfortable, they're saying, but they're saying there's aspects of where you are right now that you can enjoy, that you can set up a little camp, take stock of where you've come, how far you've come, and enjoy the spoils of being in the moment now with what you've managed to achieve so far to get to here. You know that there's a long way that you'd like to go, and I think they're inviting you to be in the moment of joy of what you've managed to accomplish already. I have a feeling that if you're watching this, you're a high achiever, you're a goer, you're a doer, you don't stop. You have actually accomplished a hell of a lot in your life, but there's been times when you've been left feeling unfulfilled in your bones, like deep in your soul, that you haven't really felt like you've achieved what your heart wanted. You've achieved a lot, but maybe you haven't done what you want in some manner. And you might not even know what that is, but you have that gap. And that gap is that indicator that you haven't achieved that yet. So they're saying, take stock of where you've got to so far. And I think that they're actually really encouraging you to pause and go, wow, look where I am, look how far I've come. Even if you've only taken baby steps, they're saying, look back and see how far you've come and celebrate and enjoy the moment, because you can see that you've travelled a certain distance. Is there any reason why you want them to do that? I think I just get it's part of the journey. Part of the journey is that stopping and enjoying, taking the backpack off, having a rest and a stretch in the sun. Any advice from that point? They're saying soon you'll put the backpack on and soon you'll be trekking anyway, so you might as well enjoy a moment in the sunlight. Okay. I would love for you to join, if you like, just a little group that we're getting together. If you're changing anything in your life and you're trying to develop different habits in order to have a better outcome and an outcome that is more in line with what you want, then I'd love for you to join the group. we meet just once a week for half an hour, because let's face it, we're all damn time poor, and that's probably all the time we've got, because you'll meet fellow other high achievers who are also changing aspects of their lives, and they will probably get you. Understand who you are, understand your motivations, understand where you're coming from, understanding the gaps that you've been filling in your life, and understanding also the difficulties and the challenges with trying to change any aspect of your life down to the nitty-gritty micro habits that you really have to unpack and uncover and change, and the difficulties surrounding that. I'll never ask you to like or subscribe on this channel, and I will always only give you something from my heart and also any downloads that I get from Spirit. I'm transforming 8 separate areas of my life in true high achiever form, but they're 8 areas of my life that really do need love, because each of these areas of my life really weren't going as well as I wanted them to. My body, my income doing something that I'm fulfilled with, my creativity, my connections with other people, my health, actually following guidance and actually, you know, it's one thing to get the guidance, but it's another thing to really embed it and bring it into your life. These are some of the areas that I am really deeply focusing on, that I really have to change, and working far less. That is the main priority and mission, is to work less so I can do more of the things that I want to do that fulfill my soul. Yeah, so it'd be great if we could all do this together as a little group. How cool would that be?